Hi everyone, this is Ashley with CT Arena Digitals. I wanted to do a tutorial to show how to use my new hair strand brushes in Photoshop. I should have created these a long time ago because I've been doing tutorials for digital backdrops for a really long time, and I created these for myself to use when I do digital backdrops, so I figured I would make them for sale for everyone else because they are something I use in almost every single composite I do for digital backdrops. Not every single one, but a lot of them. I have a sample pulled up right here. I was working on a digital backdrop, and as you can see, if I zoom in, sometimes when you copy and paste the subject onto the background, you get this weird hue halo around the hair because Photoshop obviously isn't in tune enough to select every single strand of hair and remove the initial background from it. So what I do is I go back in after I put the subject on the backdrop and I use my hair brushes to add in hair. I did have some free brushes I found online a long time ago that I was using for a little while. I think I may have used them in one of my tutorials. But they were pretty blocky, and they were kind of like almost like a whole section of hair that you would have to paint in at once. So I ended up creating my own with just single strands and then some that have multiple ones as well. So I also have a tutorial on my YouTube channel already on how to import your brushes, but I'm going to show that on here too, just since this is kind of what I'm doing for the tutorial is using brushes. But when you download them, they will come in a zipped folder or in Dropbox. You just have to make sure that if they come in a zip folder that you do unzip them before trying to open them into Photoshop, because Photoshop cannot open a zipped file. You have to unzip the file, save the ABR file, which is the brush file, or maybe that's action. Yes, ABR file. Separately on your hard drive or computer or wherever before you try to open it in Photoshop. Okay, so I'm going to get started. I'm going to go up to, so I'm on my brushes right now, and if you click this right here where it shows all of your brushes that you have, if you go up here to the settings tool and click it and go down to import brushes and then navigate to the folder wherever they are saved on your PC. So mine are in here. That's the hair strands, CT Arena. I'm going to go ahead and load. And then it's seemingly not going to do anything. I have a lot of people that say it's not doing anything. When I click the file, they are in there. You just have to scroll all the way down. They're going to load at the very bottom. And then you have to click this arrow right here. And that's going to open up the whole panel of all your brushes. So I have a lot in here. I honestly create new ones, I feel like all the time for different clients, but I put the ones in here that kind of suit for everything. Like the bristle curl I use probably the most. I actually use that for beards too. For men, and the short curved angle I use a lot as well. I just added the wave ones, which this is going to be a good example to use on her because she's got a nice wavy hair. And then I have some half curls too, depending on how you're going to be using them. Sometimes you may have to brush off what you brush on, and a half bristle, like if I, for instance, I'm just going to do this real quick. I'm going to create a new layer, and then, so here's the half bristle. I'm going to bring this down. Say I just wanted to add, what are we doing here? Okay, say I just wanted to add like a little tiny curl here. Hold down Alt on my keyboard because I want to select the color of the hair that I'm going to be painting on. You click and select that, and then that would just be one single strand. You could just keep doing that to add in if you wanted to. I'm actually going to leave those because it matches her hair. I have done no other editing to this digital yet, so don't mind the background. I'm just doing it for an example. Okay, so if I go to my layer mask, the layer mask that you create while you're doing your digital backdrop to paint on or paint off your subject, I'm going to do that first to add in a little bit of the original hair. So I'm going to use the bristle curl one, And now all these, you'll see some colored blocks on some of them. That just means that the initial brush is that color, but you're going to want to use obviously whatever color you want. I just did some whites and blacks and browns just for convenience if that's what you're using, but obviously you're going to need to change the color to whatever color the hair is. But since we're masking right now, we want to use our black and white brush because we're masking on and masking off. So if I come over here, I want to use my white brush because I'm brushing her back on, her hair back on, and I'm just going to come in, and this is a brush that you just can drag and it will do all different angles. It'll do all different angles and it'll keep switching, so it's not just one blocky brush going back and forth. And all this is doing is just brushing on the initial, it's brushing her hair back onto the backdrop. Okay, and then I'm gonna go down to, I think I'm gonna do a half smooth curl to make that smaller, and as you can see what the brush is gonna look like. So I want to kind of size it about right here, and I'm going to brush that. So when you use the single ones, those are, I'm going to do it out here just to show, those are going to be a lot closer together. They're not going to flip and switch and turn and flip around like the multi ones do. Let me show you real quick. So that was the half smooth curl single, and then if I do the half smooth curl multi, you can see the difference here. Let me make it a little bit smaller. It's going to flip around. See how it kind of spaces out and it flips around? So it's going to give you a lot looser of a curl all at once if you drag your brush. Where if you were to go back to the single, it's just going to kind of put it in a, make it a little bit smaller, in a line right together. Okay, so I'm going to go back because I don't want any of those to be on there. So we're on this one. I'm just going to paint some of this back in. And then this is how you turn your brush because I want to add some back in up here too. And that's going to get rid of that weird halo. Okay, I'm going to turn this a little bit more. I know the object on maternity sessions is to try to get rid of the flyaways, right? But this is kind of just making it so the flyaways don't really look like flyaways. It looks like just more added curl. Okay, so now I'm going to paint a little bit more back in right here. Okay, and now I don't want to paint all the way out here, obviously, with that brush, because then it's going to start to get the backdrop in there. So now is when I'm going to work on a new layer, and I'm going to hold down my Alt key, and I'm going to choose the color of the hair that I'm adding in here. So if I take this bright color right here, and then I paint that on, see how that's going to add that color. And actually, sorry, we want to drag this layer below our subject because we don't want, if we brush on, let me use a darker color so you can see it a little better. We don't want, and obviously this looks horrible, but I just want to show you what it does. We want to add the hair behind, so because if we have it above, we're going to then have to brush off of her hair here. So make sure you drag that layer down below, I don't know what that one was, down below your subject, and then go ahead and paint in those hairs. I'm going to go back to my bristle curl just because that one adds a little bit more of a texture. And I'm holding down Alt and clicking like constantly because I want an array of different colors of hair mixed in here. I don't want to do just one color because then it's going to be very obvious that it was painted in. that's too bright for up there. I'm gonna make this a little bit smaller. There we go. Put some bright in there. And as you can see, it's starting to take away all of that weird empty area that Photoshop did not fill in. I always get the question, how do you make the hair blend so easily? Well, Photoshop usually does a pretty good job, especially in the last couple of years with all the stuff they've added, but it's still not perfect. So I hope these brushes can help to add. Okay, I'm gonna go up to my there's like a hair right here that I am just gonna use a regular hard brush for. Oops. To get rid of real quick. There we go. Okay, so now if we zoom out, if we get rid of this layer, as you can see, it filled in all of that area, it gave it more volume. And then that's all of this right here is all of what we painted off and added in to the mask. Let's see if I can do oh, I can't do before, unfortunately, because that's just the digital backdrop. But that looks a lot better than it did. If you zoom out now, actually she doesn't just look copy and pasted onto there with her head. It actually looks like she has some hairs and some flyaways in there. I'm actually going to add some more bright hairs right there, because when I zoomed out, go back down to my brushes here, there wasn't enough bright curls added in here. And I'm going to do the half smooth curl again. There we go. If we zoom out, there we go, those highlights are in there again. Okay. So now all the different brushes that are in here, I can just go over them real quick. So the single straight hair, or single strand, that's literally just a strand of hair. If you ever need to, I'm going to put this on white just so you can see it better. If you ever need to, just need a single strand somewhere, which, why you would, who knows, but I just wanted to put it in there just in case. But if you drag it like this too, or if you just add it, if you had somebody with straight hair and you kind of needed to add something like down at the bottom by their shirt, you could use that one. There is this short curve angled. I use this a lot for short hair, or for men. So this one is angled. So if you hold down your brush and you drag this one, this is going to create a whole bunch of angles for you. So it's going to look realistic when you paint that hair back in anywhere. I use this a lot for backlit images. So if I have a backlit image with a man and a woman, and that if you have that hard line that you, actually let me open one up here real quick. I'm going to pause this. Okay, I just opened this one. I didn't want to do it on the tutorial because there's some nudes in their gallery and I didn't want to have those out there. Okay, so right here, for instance, if I did a new layer and I have this brush that I was just using here, and if you do, like, for instance, if you use my backlit like that action, which is an awesome action to use for backlit images, sometimes it will cut out certain parts of the hair. This is where I like to use this one to kind of, if you just select like I did on the other image, and then this you'll have to, since I don't have them on another layer, I could select all and then do it behind, but I'll just brush it off if I need to. This one just adds, I'm going to do a darker brush. And I'm going to turn this a little bit. This one just adds some more hair in there. I can't get the right angle. There we go. Not the right angle for his. I'd have to play around with it a little bit. But this can add strands for men's hair. There, it looks better up there. I have to flip the angle up there a little bit. There we go. but I like to use that for backlit images. Same for the women. We'll just use this bristle curl again. If I needed to add in some extra strands on hers, which I don't, hers looks fine in this one, but I could do that on that as well, just using the black brush. And then you would just create the layer mask and use a brush to brush off whatever you didn't want to show, which I wouldn't have wanted those first ones I did to show. Okay, so that's how I would usually use the short one. And like I said, I also use the bristle ones for beards. His is a short beard, so I would probably not actually use the bristle one for this one. I would probably use the short angled one again for that one. Okay, so now going back to here just to show the other brushes. That was the short angled curve. This is the straight angle. It's kind of the same thing, except it's all going in the same kind of direction rather than being angled certain different ways. Then the bristle curl, which we already went over. The smooth curl, which is about the same. It's just smooth instead of coarse like that. Let's see. Single wave. Okay, I didn't actually use this like I said I was going to. This is just a single wave of hair, which I can do on her real quick. I'm going to create another layer. Grab her color hair, and then you're going to need to angle it. Brush it in, and see that just added one single strand of hair. Or you can do the multi-wave. I can't see it here. I think it needs to be bigger. There we go. Photoshop drives me nuts with how fast they switch between, like, from 4 something to like 1,000 is crazy. See, that's too big. I'm just going to do this one for now. Okay, so this one this is the multi one, so if you drag it, it's going to kind of go all over the place. But if that's what you're needing, is to just kind of add in some crazier flyaways, you can use that. Or you can use it as a single too, you just have to click it once, but it's going to flip. If you watch the white part, it's going to flip every single time you try to paint one. So if you're needing it to go the same direction every single time, use the single brush and not the multi. So as you can see, if we use the single wave, it's going to be the same every single time that we click it. And then the multi is going to change every single time. Okay. Next, I'm adding all kinds of layers here that I don't need to add. Okay. The single straight, I mean, that's kind of self-explanatory. That's just one single line or strand of hair. And this is the single multi. This is going to, I keep forgetting to change it to white so you can see it a little bit better. This is going to stagger, just like the other multis. And then the half bristle we already went over, the half smooth, that's literally the smooth curl, but it's a single instead of the multi one. And then I have this half curl multi, so there's singles for the half, and then there's multis for the half, and then the half bristle curl is down here. And that's it. I haven't had to use any other ones but these ones, like, ever. So I think that this will cover pretty much any kind of hairstyle. You just have to change the angle and the size of it to fit your subject, and obviously select the color that you need. Hopefully this is extremely helpful for some of you, especially using digital backdrops. If you have any questions, you can send me a message. If you are a studio photographer, I would love for you to join my group on Facebook. I will link it in the description. If you want more free tutorials like this and want to be notified when I add them, please subscribe to my channel.